Alright, so previously we have learned about immunity in Form 3. Now, this subchapter focuses mainly in the types of immunity, which is the active immunity and the passive immunity. The active immunity means that the lymphocytes produce their own antibodies as a response to stimulation by the antigens. The passive immunity means that the body receives antibodies from an external source. Then, these immunities is again divided into two categories, which is the natural and artificial immunities. Now, I'll explain how a person can acquire each of these immunities. First one is the natural active immunity. An individual will acquire the natural active immunity by recovering from an infection. The second one, which is the artificial active immunity. A person will acquire this immunity after given a vaccine injection. Remember, a vaccine is a weakened pathogen. The third one, a person can obtain the natural passive immunity through breastfeeding and from the mother to the fetus during pregnancy. This is obtained by everyone when we were a baby. And the last one, the artificial passive immunity, which is acquired through antiserum injection. These immunities will be explained in further detail by the next person.
Okay, so now for the active immunity for 11.3. So active immunity is antibodies that are produced naturally by lymphocytes. Active immunity remains for a long period of time. Okay. Lymphocytes will produce antibodies when someone is infected by pathogens as response to these antigens. When an individual recovers from an infection, the individual will gain permanent immunity against it. When the individual is attacked again by the same pathogen, lymphocytes that stores memories of the pathogen, which is memory cells, will rapidly produce antibodies to react against the antigens. So, an individual who has recovered from chickenpox or influenza has gained a natural active immunity. So, let's move over to the artificial active immunity. So, this immunization refers to the process that stimulates immunity against specific diseases through vaccine injections. Vaccines is a suspension of pathogens that are weakened, dead, or non-virulent. When vaccine is injected in the body, the vaccine will stimulate lymphocytes to produce more antibodies to fight the pathogens. The first vaccine injection will usually result in a low level of antibody production, which is insufficient to protect an individual from the disease. So, a booster dose, which is the second injection, must be administered to increase the antibody production to a level of immunity that can protect the individual from the disease. If the individual is infected by actual pathogens, lymphocytes will produce enough antibodies and instantly destroy these pathogens. So examples of vaccines such as Salk vaccine for poliomyelitis, BCG vaccine for tuberculosis (TB), and HPV vaccine for cervical cancer.
So now we are going to talk about a passive immunity. What is passive immunity? Passive immunity occurs when the body does not produce its own antibodies. Antibodies are obtained from an external source. Passive immunity doesn't persist and can only give immediate, short-term, and temporary protection. There are two types of passive immunity. Okay, so the first one is natural passive immunity. The immunity, the immunity is acquired by fetus when the mother's antibodies diffuse through the placenta into the blood flow of the fetus. Antibodies also protect the baby for the first few months after birth through antibodies that are found in the mother's milk or colostrum when breastfeeding. And second one is artificial passive immunity. The immunity is acquired through an antiserum injection or serum that contains specific antibodies to fight specific antigens. The antiserum injection gives immediate protection but only for a short period of time. For example of artificial passive immunity is antiserum anti-rabies and antiserum for poisonous snake.
Okay, now we are going to learn about the similarities and differences between artificial active immunity and artificial passive immunity. First, the similarities between these two immunity are both of them protects body from infectious diseases, and both of them involve interaction between antibodies and antigen. Okay, next we are going to learn about differences between artificial active immunity and artificial passive immunity. Okay, first untuk artificial active immunity, dia ni boleh dapat daripada vaksin injection. Kalau apa artificial passive immunity, dia bukan vaksin, dia anti serum injection. Jadi apa benda yang kena masuk dalam badan kita tu? Jadi kalau artificial active immunity, benda yang kena masuk dalam badan kita tu adalah suspension of pathogen that are weakened, dead or non-virulent. Jadi maksud dia sini patogen yang lemah sudah atau mati, gitulah tu. Jadi untuk artificial passive immunity, apa yang kena masuk dalam badan kita ialah serum yang contain specific antibody. Jadi apa purpose dia untuk ni injection? Jadi first untuk artificial active immunity, kamu boleh nampak dia adalah untuk prevent kita daripada kena suatu penyakit. Jadi the purpose for artificial passive immunity, dia adalah untuk treatment or immediate protection is required. Okay, next. Okay, jadi kamu tengok kalau yang kuning ni dia melambangkan untuk active immunity, kalau hijau dia untuk passive immunity. Jadi jangan bingung. Jadi bila kita kena inject tu, efek dia akan terus-terus atau tidak dalam badan kita. Jadi kamu boleh nampak sini untuk active immunity, dia punya efek dalam badan kita tu dia bukan terus-terus macam itu passive immunity. Dia lambat sikit, dia lambat. Dia tidak terus bagi protection dalam badan kita. Okay, next, immunity period. Jadi untuk immunity period ni, untuk artificial active immunity, dia kekal dalam badan kita dalam masa jangka yang panjang. Kalau pasif dia kejap, dia temporary, tidak lama macam artificial active immunity. Jadi next, bila injection ini kena bagi dalam badan kita, jadi kan active immunity ni dia apa yang kena bagi dalam badan kita ni vaksin. Jadi vaksin injection ni dia kena bagi dalam badan kita before kita kena infect itu suatu disease lah, apa-apa disease. Jadi untuk passive immunity, injection yang kena bagi dalam kita ni kan antiserum. Jadi injection yang kena bagi dalam kita ni, kita akan kena bagi bila kita ada high risk of infection, atau terus kita kena bagi bila kita sudah kena jangkit itu benda, itu apa-apalah disease. Jadi next, antibody. Jadi antibody yang kena untuk artificial active immunity ni, antibody dia ni kita boleh dapat daripada lymphocyte lah. Jadi maknanya lymphocyte tu yang akan produce antibody dalam badan kita. Jadi next, untuk passive immunity tu kita boleh obtain daripada antiserum. Okay, next kita akan bincang tentang the need to give a second injection. Jadi second injection ni dia boleh dikenali sebagai booster dose juga. Jadi untuk artificial active immunity, second injection ni must be given to boost the level of immunity as a protection against the disease. Jadi maknanya first injection ni kan dalam active immunity, first tu kena bagi injection tu, dia guna adalah untuk stimulate itu lymphocyte untuk produce lebih banyak antibody. Jadi lepas tu akan kena bagi second injection lagi dalam kuantiti yang banyak tapi sedikit daripada first injection. Jadi kan second injection ni dia dikenali sebagai booster dose. Jadi maknanya dia ni macam support lah, dia support first injection. Jadi maknanya second injection ni dia akan produce antibody untuk fight. Dia akan macam tolong first injection produce antibody untuk fight itu disease. Jadi next artificial passive immunity. Jadi untuk artificial passive immunity, dia akan kena bagi bila antibody level in the blood drops below the level of immunity. Macam kamu nampak sini, dia drop kan ni level of immunity, dia drop below, di bawah tu level immunity. Jadi di situlah akan kena bagi second injection. Dan selain itu, patient yang masih infected by disease pun masih kena bagi juga second injection.